150 years ago, a declaration changed the world.
The American dream.
And Michiana made its mark on building America.
It used to be a time where you could not go throughout your entire living day without touching something that was made here in Hull in South Bend.
The Studebaker name was known worldwide.
The power of the Industrial Revolution, the influence of the Golden Dome.
The symbol of achievement.
The people, stories.
I served in the military. I was part of history.
And moments that built our communities.
You are here right where it all began.
With our country at a crossroads, where do we go from here? You're watching Indivisible 250, a 1-hour special, only on ABC57 News.
Hello and welcome to Indivisible 250, an ABC57 1-hour special celebrating America's birthday this week. And I'm Brian Coneybear.
And I'm Brianna Clark. For the last 250 years, the American story has been rooted in one simple concept: liberty and justice for all.
While it hasn't always been easy, those ideals did drive a young upstart nation into a global superpower and inspired generations of Americans who would come to call Michiana home. On West Washington Street in South Bend, inside the History Museum, anyone can take a trip back in time.
This is our diorama of the Kankakee Marsh area and how it would have possibly looked when LaSalle came through here in 1679.
Travis Childs, the St. Joseph County historian and museum archivist, walked us through the life-size exhibit, showing what the region was like 250 years ago and beyond.
Way prior to 1776, really the only inhabitants around here were the Native Americans that were here. The first European that stepped foot on what would later become South Bend, St. Joe County was the French explorer Robert LaSalle, who came through here in 1679 because of the portage being here.
Over the next 60 minutes, we'll take you along as we bring that history to life, whether positive or negative in your opinion, and how everything changed once European settlers first arrived to hunt the valuable beaver.
The first few fur traders that actually came to the area, Coquiller and Taylor and Navarre, they did a lot of their business with Native Americans. We had an international business here before Studebaker, before Oliver, before Bendix, before all them guys. A majority of the beaver pelts that were trapped here and west of town in the Kankakee Marsh area went overseas to make clothes for kings, queens, princes, popes, because those are the only people that could afford it.
We'll also explain why Potawatomi leader Leopold Pokagon made a deal with the Roman Catholic Church in the 1830s to avoid being forced onto reservations like many other Native American tribes.
Pokagon, we don't give him enough credit. He was a smart guy. He also had all of his band baptized into the Catholic faith, which in Europeans' eyes, they no longer were classified as savages. They were actually human people.
To this day, the Pokagon Band is a major part of the fabric of this community.
It's been great to see casinos, hotels, top-notch things that they've built and operate.
And of course, we'll explain why Father Edward Sorin and the Holy Cross Order had the foresight to establish a boys' school and farm in 1842 that would eventually become the University of Notre Dame.
They thought it was a pretty good area to establish a mission post.
And the fledgling U.S. government in Washington wanted to clear land across Michiana so settlers could start farms as the growing American population moved westward. But to make that happen, they had to move millions of gallons of water out of a once massive local wetland.
So these guys are literally draining the Kankakee Marsh.
They lived, ate, slept on this thing. It was steam operated. It dug ditches from here all the way to the Illinois state line. That soil is still black because it was beneath a swamp, and it's still growing corn, soybeans, sorghum, all kinds of stuff.
I didn't know mint was grown here.
Mr. Wrigley would have had a hard time making his spearmint gum if we weren't here, because we were the #1 exporter to them for mint for their chewing gum.
And once the railroads arrived in the 1850s and factories started popping up along the St. Joseph River, from Singer sewing machines to Oliver plows and Studebaker wagons, European immigrants descended on the region in search of work,
bringing their food and culture as well.
South Bend and Mishawaka both are kind of unique for an Indiana type of city where we had an Italian neighborhood, we had Belgian neighborhood, you had Polish neighborhood, you had Hungarian. That is odd outside of large cities.
Then in the early to mid 1900s, after the Civil War, the Great Migration of blacks from the South changed the region once again.
You had a mass exodus of African Americans from the South up here to fulfill those spots. And the factory owners were more than happy to have them.
Michiana was the land of opportunity?
At the time, you could come up here, you could find steady work and prove yourself that you were just as a good employee as any other man.
A nation and a community built on life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But this is also a nation deeply rooted in conflict. Since its birth on the battlefield, America has spent most of its 250 years engaged in some type of military action.
We do not have to look far to see it. Right here in Michiana, the past is still present, from revolutionary grave sites to World War II airmen breaking racial barriers. History is a book, and Michiana has its own chapters. Americans love a good story.
So here is...
And Michiana is full of them.
Robert Cathcart's grave.
One of 5 Revolutionary War soldiers buried in Elkhart County. As the curator of education at the Historical Museum, Jennifer Bluen-Policelli is helping keep Cathcart's legacy alive.
Robert, our Revolutionary War vet, is buried right next to his son, James Cathcart, who was a veteran of the War of 1812.
Adding a new chapter to Michiana's story. The War of 1812, yet another U.S.-British showdown, the first battle fought on Indiana soil. April 1861, America goes to war with itself. At the first call for troops, a company of infantry was raised in Niles, the roster overflowing with names of men from Berrien and Van Buren counties, adding to the more than 90,000 Michiganders who enlisted in the Union Army. In Indiana, that number nearing 200,000.
This was my great-grandfather,
Adam Kuntz of Marshall County.
And I just found this. I didn't know I had a picture of him, that he looked this young.
Diane Eveland is proof that some of history's most important chapters happen close to home.
All these were famous things that I read in history, and I didn't know he was a part of it.
The great hero of the Spanish-American War was, of course, Theodore Roosevelt, who is my fourth cousin twice removed.
Meet Anita Watts-Kopetsky.
I am the Marshall County genealogist and a research assistant in the library.
So you could say you know your history.
Yeah, I've been doing it for about 30 years.
Digging deep into her family's footprint.
I have several veterans in my family, several people who served in the war.
Like her great-grandfather, George Dunlap.
He went into the Civil War when he was 16 years old, was injured, got shot in the abdomen.
Instead of going to the hospital, Dunlap changed his name, joined the Navy, and went back to war.
Stories are powerful, and it helps you realize that genealogy and history are about people. It's not about dates or places. It's about people.
People like Sergeant Alexander Arch of South Bend, his name forever documented in local newspapers, credited as being the first American to shoot at the enemy during World War I. Another defining chapter in Michiana's history, World War II. Written in ink, the names of 2 Dowagiac graduates who went on to become Tuskegee Airmen, America's first black military pilots. Brothers B-25 bomber pilot Joseph Bryant, Jr., and Congressional Gold Medal recipient Jack Bryant. Beyond the gunpowder and grenades were people like Private First Class Robert Carl McKay of Mishawaka, drafted into the Corps of Engineers at 34 years old. This is him building a bridge during the Battle of the Bulge.
Extra, read all about it.
Stories of the war plastered on newspapers around the world. But one local man, some would say, was capturing too much attention.
Mishawaka man slapped by General Patton.
That Mishawaka man? Jordan Kuhl's great uncle, Private Charles H. Kuhl. It's even featured in this movie about Patton.
Well, hell, you're just a goddamn coward.
Known as the slap heard round the world.
It's a big part of that movie, and it was also almost the downfall of Patton's military career. Because then a week later, he did it to another soldier.
At the time, they called it battle fatigue. Now we know it as post-traumatic stress disorder.
It was frowned upon for a long time because, again, everybody looked at him like, oh, he was a coward. Like, no, he was out there. He had, again, malaria with 104 temperature, plus shell shock because he's been out there for a while.
What was once seen as a negative story is now one of pride.
It's a wild feeling to have your name in that part of history, your family's name.
As we turn the page to the 1950s, Michiana communities continued to depend on local news for updates on their loved ones serving in Korea. Like Niles High School graduate Dorothy Bollinger, an Army nurse promoted to first lieutenant.
Big Bro was right there.
Before making headlines as South Bend's first black paramedic, Calvin Johnson's older brother, Preston A. Johnson, served in Vietnam, enlisting in the Marines right after high school.
The reality check hit when a classmate of mine lost her brother in Vietnam, and he was blown up. And so that was hard on their family, and so it just made you appreciate what military people do, period.
Preston was gone for 3 years. He went to war as a private. He returned home, a gunnery sergeant.
Because I can remember the day so clearly when he came home from Vietnam. It was just so exciting at our house. I mean, just so exciting. My mom even let us be late for school.
That's me. That's our house. That's when we were in Iraq.
Army Staff Sergeant Jim Method, continuing the long history of Michiana men who began serving their country as teenagers.
I was meant to be a soldier.
Served in the Gulf War, Operation Desert Shield, and Desert Storm.
You know, when I was in school, I didn't have a big desire to learn history. But once I served in the military, I had a passion. I was part of history.
Jim continues to serve, helping local veterans struggling in the civilian world.
Anything from house payments, utility payments, automotive.
Including those who fought in America's longest war, the war in Afghanistan.
I want to make a difference for the United States of America. I want to make a difference and defend our red, white, and blue.
Honoring the heroes who served, from the early chapters to the ones who will write what comes next.
Michiana is home to several manufacturing powerhouses that came to be over the last 250 years. In the present day, this is becoming more and more normal to see. Massive data center sites taking shape across Michiana's farmlands. But we can't have this without reflecting back on Michiana's rich industrial upbringing that paved the way.
This automobile, more than any other modern motor car, is the product of craftsmen.
The Studebaker, known as the standard of automobiles in the early 20th century. It all started in 1852 with the Studebaker brothers, a blacksmith shop in downtown South Bend, and a gold rush dream.
One of the younger brothers, John M. Studebaker, he didn't want to stick around and be a blacksmith. He wanted to head out west to the California gold rush.
With $8,000 in gold nuggets in his pocket, John returned to South Bend in the later 1850s and invested in his brother's business.
They were able to take on larger orders. They were able to expand the factory. They just continued growing and growing.
Studebaker soon became the world's largest builder of horse-drawn vehicles. Then the introduction of the automobile and a transformative switch for the company.
Looking at Well, what about this new thing? I mean, this is going to eventually take away their entire primary market, but they did realize that this was worth looking into.
The first Studebaker automobile was built in 1902, marking only the start of 60 more years of success as the premier car manufacturer in this region. But another world-renowned product was coming out of South Bend around that same time, the chilled plow by James Oliver.
He was probably 12 when he got over here, came with his family, and started working, just like thousands of other men like him.
He saw a need for a better plow blade for a poor farmer. Oliver would earn the nickname Plowmaker of the World, eventually venturing into making tractors and harvesting machines by the 1930s.
I think Studebaker and even Oliver set out like a template, if you want to call it that, about how to get a business off the ground.
That template was the blueprint for another booming business getting its start in the early 20th century, this time in Southwest Michigan.
It started out with our founder, Lou Upton, who actually was coming off of a failed business venture. And interestingly enough, out of that failed business venture, he got a patent out of it for a wringer washer.
Lou Upton's big idea was to electrify the washer by adding a motor to it, which made the process of washing clothes a lot faster.
It's really about providing time back to families, especially, in 1911 and during that period. Laundry took a long time, hours and hours, days even.
This innovation was the launch pad for Whirlpool's success in the washing and drying business, and as they ventured into kitchen appliances after the 1950s. As Americans entered an age of comfortability following the Second World War, the American dream was centered around the home. So much so, people started taking home with them on the road.
I mean, people were wanting to, they had the leisure time to explore the U.S., and so that's what they did.
Enter the boom of the RV or recreational vehicle industry. It all began in the 1930s when an Elkhart salesman named Milo Miller decided he wanted to take his family along with him as he traveled the country for work.
Everyone was complimenting him on such a nice travel trailer, and then he, as soon as he was done with that trip, sold his trailer, built a second one, and that one sold immediately after.
It didn't take long for Elkhart to become the RV capital of the world, home to several big-name RV manufacturers. And as time and technology progressed, so did the typical RV.
I mean, before they were using, ice and the wind as you're traveling forward to refrigerate things or keep things cool. It's all innovation.
The city with the heart proved to be the right home for the heart of the RV industry. To this day, 80% of the world's RVs are manufactured in Elkhart, employing thousands of local workers.
You're able to live comfortably and work hard, and you take pride in what you do. I mean, that's really how the industry was built.
Similar to the RV industry in Elkhart, Whirlpool still designs, engineers, and tests all of their products in Southwest Michigan. Though the same can't be said for the Studebaker Corporation.
Yeah, that was a dark day. December 9th, 1963, they announced they were closing the South Bend plant.
Studebaker closed its doors in 1963 and reshaped South Bend's identity. Today, Studebaker lives on in South Bend's culture. The old plants that are still standing, street names, ethnic neighborhoods, and the Studebaker National Museum itself, honoring every stage of the Studebaker legacy.
It's just an amazing scope and amazing breadth, and Studebaker has witnessed a lot of history in this country.
So, is Michiana becoming a national hub for the data center industry? The next 250 years will tell that story. For Indivisible 250, I'm Julianne Grahowski, ABC57 News.
Welcome back to Indivisible 250 on ABC57 News. I'm Vahid Sadrzadeh. From the Four Horsemen to the Gipper, national championships to playoff appearances, Notre Dame football has become one of the most recognizable brands in sports. But the story of Notre Dame is bigger than football. As America celebrates 250 years of independence, this now celebrated university offers a unique lens into the American experience itself. How a small Catholic school founded by an immigrant priest became a national institution, elevated Indiana's place on the map, and eventually grew into a global force.
In the famous final quarter.
For more than a century, Notre Dame football has carried the name of a small Indiana university onto America's biggest stage. Generations have watched, millions have cheered, and Our Lady on the Dome has become known around the globe.
We're undefeated too!
But long before the national championships, trumpets under the dome and slapping the sign on Saturdays, Notre Dame was something much smaller. Founded by French priest Father Edward Sorn, sent to America as Napoleon's France pushed Catholics out.
When Father Sorn came here, I don't think he had the vision of what Notre Dame is now at all.
As America was expanding west, immigrants were arriving by the millions, and along with his 6 brothers, set out to spread the church's message. They found their place on 2 small lakes in Indiana, where a university began taking shape.
South Bend had founded about 20 years before that, and I think probably only about 1,000 people in South Bend at that time when Notre Dame was founded.
One could argue no one knows its history better than Father Thomas Blantz, who literally wrote the book on Notre Dame.
I think Notre Dame has tried to be both successful in football, but also make sure they were still scholars, still students.
Yet what transformed Notre Dame from a regional school into a national institution was something uniquely American.
The Irish Rally.
Football. While many universities stayed close to home in the 1920s and 30s, Notre Dame and legendary coach Knute Rockne looked for new opportunities, traveling coast to coast.
We're going inside them. We're going outside them. Inside them and outside them.
The Rock understood something few others did. Football wasn't just building a team, it was building a brand.
There she is. She's all over. It's a 0-0 tie. Army nothing. Notre Dame nothing. That's the end of the ball game.
Radio broadcasts carry Notre Dame's name into American homes nationwide, and suddenly a university in South Bend belonged to the entire country.
Tell them to go out there with all they got and win just one for the Gipper.
For millions of Catholic Americans, Notre Dame represented something even bigger: acceptance. At a time when many immigrants and Catholics still felt like outsiders, the Fighting Irish became a source of pride.
It's a remarkable, sensational victory for Notre Dame.
Bringing education to this particular area and bringing Catholicism to this particular area, I think, was two of the contributions, anyway, that Notre Dame had to the growth of the country here, the Midwest, anyway.
As Notre Dame grew, Indiana grew with it. The university brought presidents, dignitaries, athletes, scholars, and world leaders.
But if we can only be grateful, not just that God loves us, but we love Him and we love our country.
Beyond education, beyond race, color, and creed.
He was tapped by President Eisenhower to be on the Civil Rights Commission.
And perhaps no figure embodied Notre Dame's influence on America more than Father Theodore Hesburgh.
You're one of the most influential men in this country, aren't you?
I don't think I'm trying to be. I know a lot of people. A lot of it's just power of friendship.
Hesburgh became one of the nation's most respected voices on civil rights.
That was an opportunity for him to try to contribute what he could, anyway, to correct the abuses that were there.
Under his leadership, Notre Dame wasn't simply reflecting America's story, it was helping write it. By the late 20th century, Notre Dame had become a global institution. Students from around the world and research that expands across continents. Its alumni network comprised of more than 160,000 people, stretching across industries, governments, and communities worldwide.
I never really felt I coached football, I felt I coached life.
Yes, football opened the door. But education, faith, and service carried Notre Dame beyond.
Notre Dame has an important place to play in Catholic education in the United States. Education is important for the growth of the United States through the 250 years.
The football team of Notre Dame, undefeated in 5 games.
For generations, football has been the front porch of Notre Dame. Their first introduction, the reason millions know the name.
We're Notre Dame and you ain't.
But beyond the helmets and highlights stands a university whose impact reaches far beyond the field. A school built in Indiana, embraced by America, and an institution recognized around the world.
It's certainly the symbol of achievement in a way.
A lasting symbol of the American dream.
It is a mark of success that you can have a golden dome like that, expensive as that can be, and on have the potential of that looking to the future. And the success can continue.
For Indivisible 250, I'm Vahid Sadarzadeh, ABC 57 News.
50 years ago, a declaration changed the world, and Michiana made its mark on building America.
The Studebaker name.
The power of the Industrial Revolution, the influence of the Golden Dome.
In my opinion, without the Native Americans, there's not much of a story.
The people, stories.
In 1951, we got on the boat in Naples, and we landed in New York.
And moments that built our communities.
In a lot of ways, farmers are trailblazers and still continue to be.
With our country at a crossroads, where do we go from here? You're watching Indivisible 250, a 1-hour special, only on ABC 57 News.
Images provided by the Pokagon Band of Potawatomi Indians, headquartered nearby in southwest Michigan. Welcome back to Indivisible 250, a 1-hour ABC 57 special commemorating America's semi-quincentennial. We can't celebrate America 250 without also recognizing those that were here first. Although European settlers referred to America as the New World, generations of indigenous tribes had already been calling this land their home. Now we take some time to reflect on the lasting Native American legacy.
It's just a big family reunion.
The annual tribal powwow, a visible display of the lasting legacy of the people who were here first.
In a nutshell, we're still here. We've been here from the beginning, we'll be here to the end.
Tribal Chairman Matthew Weesaw.
Well, we always go clockwise. So
showing us around the government campus of the Pokagon Band of Potawatomi Indians in Dowagiac, Michigan.
Our citizens are members of all the different clans that we have here. So we have fish, thunder, bear, wolf, eagle, and turtle.
We think about America reaching 250 years. 250 years doesn't even pale in comparison to how old the Pokagon Band is. Can you tell me how far back this tribe goes?
Well, in years, no, I can't. I can only tell you from the beginning of time.
This would be pretty typical of a seasonal hunting village. You would have seen what we call wickiami, also known as a wigwam. This is a hickory bow.
Jesse Deanhart sets up historic reenactments to show how the native Miami tribe lived centuries ago.
There's a lot of dualistic history that we reflect on when we think about American holidays.
Everything changed for tribal communities when European settlers discovered what they called the New World.
For most Native Americans that I know, they are very patriotic American people, but there's always a little bit of a sensitive area when we think about histories that could have been lands that have been lost, rights that have been lost by indigenous people.
Lands lost. Originally neighbors and trading partners, the newly formed American government started to view natives as less than civilized.
There was an attempt to make us extinct. It didn't work.
The Indian Removal Act of 1830, signed by President Andrew Jackson, forced native tribes west of the Mississippi River.
And by the 1840s, most of the Miami were removed first to Kansas and then to Oklahoma.
Marched on the trail of death. Men, women, children piled into wagons or forced to walk. Many marched and many died. But for local Potawatomi, one leader made the difference.
He was one of our great tribal leaders.
Leopold Pokagon.
Leopold, in his relationship with the Catholic Church, was able to get into the Treaty of Chicago in 1833 the ability for us to stay here.
Pokagon had his band baptized, which arguably made them more civilized in colonial eyes. Now, the Pokagon Band of the Potawatomi, this tribal nation, able to stay on its homeland.
We've been here forever. This is home. It's always been home.
Able to stay, but at a cost. Eventually, many native children were still taken from home and subjected to the Indian boarding schools, mostly run by the Catholic Church, with the help
of the U.S. government.
Their whole intent was to basically strip the native students there of their heritage, their culture, their tradition, cut their hair, didn't let them speak their language, didn't let them see their families. I think the term was kill the Indian, save the man.
July 2024, Volume 2 of the Federal Indian Boarding School Initiative investigative report identified 417 such institutions across the country. These got government dollars. Over 1,000 more are listed to have similar forced assimilation practices. The research admittedly incomplete.
And my father, he is the oldest boarding school survivor in the Pokagon Band. He's 95 years old.
Stripped of culture, but the tribe survived. September 1st, 1994, the Pokagon Band of Potawatomi reaffirmed by congressional action as a federally recognized tribe.
And there actually is a photo of probably 50 of our folks in the Oval Office with President Clinton as he signed the legislation.
What does it mean to be a sovereign nation here in the United States of America?
That means that the state of Michigan can't tell us what to do. We are a self-governance nation.
The Pokagon Band has its own constitution, more than 6,000 acres of land in Michigan, and an 11-person tribal council.
We have our own laws. We have our own court system.
The lasting Native American legacy endures in other ways.
A legacy clearly remains written in the language of our people, both on the waters and on the land.
Now, Native descendants are reclaiming their tribal culture.
We started taping our elders that spoke the language. I've got young grandkids that speak more of the language than I do.
And, at least for the Pokagon Band, growing.
It increases every month.
Reaching nearly 6,500 tribal citizens as the United States of America reaches its 250-year milestone.
It's almost like, rebuilding the nation.
Yeah, that's a very good term. That's exactly what it is. We're rebuilding the nation.
Resilience, sovereignty, and perseverance. Of course, this land came to be shared with many different ethnic groups over time, because for most, the American story is an immigrant story. Families bravely starting over in a new land, building communities, preserving proud culture and heritage, all the while forging a new American identity. But what is the American dream? For many, it's finding a seat at the table.
It's been a home for all the Irish musicians.
Monday nights in downtown South Bend.
It's called a session.
Musicians play at Fiddler's Hearth Public House, owned by Terry Meehan and his wife Carol.
It's Thanksgiving dinner at Grandma's. The chairs don't match. You grab whatever you can.
Of course, the beer flows. We're very much an Irish pub here.
Irish, as in the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, and Irish as in of Celtic ancestry.
I'm 4th generation. He's 5th generation.
Norma Lou Meehan, Terry's mom. Can I ask you how old you are?
Oh, all right. 99.
A family that traces back to the beginnings of South Bend as a city.
It's our pride, it's our heritage.
I mean, a restaurant is a great way to bring those traditions and cultures to life.
No machines here.
We have our Polish festival every day that we're open.
Polish Americans maintain a proud foothold in Michiana, like Mark Kolasa.
We advertise our traditions here. The Polish Eagle stands for the independence of Poland. If you have pierogi, you're always going to have people around you.
Kolasa's Polish peasant in Michigan City, preserving Polish pride.
We're homemade, handmade Polish American food.
In 1951, early, we got on the boat in Naples, and we landed in New York.
Cosimo Rulli of Cosmo and Susie's A Bit of Italy in Mishawaka arrived in America at 14. Now,
I'm 90 years old. Yeah, this is good.
Keeping old memories and flavors.
Okay, this is ready to go, see?
Alive.
To be honest with you, I don't have no recipes. I just cook like my sister did.
Just from up here?
Yeah. This is meat sauce. Look at it. I make a lot of sauces, okay? Everybody loves the sauce.
Finding pride in the daily hard work.
Pasta fagioli, see?
Do you feel like this country gave you, say, a place at the table?
I think so, I think America, they give you all opportunity that you could get. So, but you had to look for it. You had to work for it.
We're sitting in my grandmother's home, grandmother and grandfather's home.
That home, now Rocco's Restaurant, overlooking South Bend.
My grandparents and my parents started this back in 1951. And family, we're all still running it and loving it and working hard at it.
Keeping the restaurant and the heritage it honors alive for generations.
We have a lot here. We have an abundance of everything in America. We are very blessed.
But not all American ancestors arrived voluntarily.
If you don't know your history, as they say, you're doomed to repeat it.
Some, like many in the African American community, are the descendants of enslaved African people.
From a certain perspective, you had to understand where you were and the realities of living in America.
Like Don Pearson, born and raised in Benton Harbor.
This is home.
Black folks made their way north through the Underground Railroad, but most arrived during the Great Migration, the movement of black people from the Jim Crow South.
The attraction here was the Industrial Revolution. We had all these factories.
Places that hired black workers, but still, it wasn't easy.
There was de facto segregation, meaning that it was a social thing.
Pearson, a longtime educator and former Benton Harbor High School principal, part of the project to put up 2 statues of Martin Luther King Jr. in Southwest Michigan. 2 kings for 2 cities, St. Joseph and Benton Harbor. A man who fought for a seat at the table.
We've come a long way, but we still have a long way to go.
We're at La Esperanza, downtown South Bend.
Paula Gudilia Sowers is the president of the Latin American Chamber of Commerce, helping more than 40 Latin business owners thrive.
If I can be a bridge, that is how I honor who I am. And I want people to understand we're here because we love who we are.
Sowers, the grandchild of Mexican immigrants who grew up a migrant worker alongside her parents. Now she's a business owner.
I am so honored. I feel honored to be here. I feel honored to have that opportunity to be able to stand and say, I am American, I am Mexican, and I'm a woman, and I am so proud.
She works to spread that pride to the businesses she serves, like La Esperanza in downtown South Bend, where she had her first serving job, a place that gets its name from the Spanish word for hope.
To be able to walk in a room, to be able to sit at the table and have a voice and be heard, that is the American dream for me.
For Indivisible 250, I'm Annie Kate, ABC 57 News.
You might ask yourself, what does fruit have to do with America's 250th birthday? Well, famously, one of our founding fathers, George Washington, chopped down his father's cherry tree, much like this one here, and a legend was born. While that story might be not at all true, what is true is that farming is one of the founding jobs in American life. And here in Southwest Michigan, one of the most important parts of the next 250 years.
Fruit farmer John Jolly has been jaunting through these Berrien County fields since he was a little kid.
I've been growing up with it my entire life.
But he's only been the face of Jolly Orchards in Coloma for one season.
There are definitely some days where I think I'm a little crazy for doing this as a 23-year-old. Feel very lucky and very proud to do something that my family has done for a very long time.
How long, you might ask? You can measure their cherry trees in centuries.
It's almost unbelievable.
Sweet hauls like these are part of the 170th Happy Harvest at Jolly Orchards.
Your family was part of the reason why the fruit belt of Southwest Michigan became what it is today.
From peaches to apples to cherries, our family has been part of it through the ages.
It all started here, in this original barn in 1857. The telephone was still 20 years away from being invented. What started out as basically just this building has increased tenfold in 8 generations.
It's a beautiful place to live and to be able to work every day, to be able to share that with other people that are looking for fresh produce.
They're good ones. Look how dark those are.
And just time to spend outside with their families. is really special.
However, this year's weather has been everything but sweet for business.
The tart cherries took a really tough freeze this year. It's about 5% of what a normal crop would be.
Oh, wow.
So we won't even have a real commercial harvest this year.
While there were enough cherries for you pick, it's a big blow for Jolly. But for an operation as old as this one, it helps to lean on history.
We've been here before, we know what it looks like, and we know how to get through it, and that's what we're going to keep doing.
According to Jolly, that trailblazing attitude is as American as it gets.
No matter what, we're still going to keep working hard and keep living the American dream.
And the fruit of that labor, that's just the cherry on top.
There's nothing more American than cherry pie.
Whether it's today in 2026 or way back in 1857, what hasn't changed here on Jolly Farms is the crop and the feeling that people get when they pick it. So no matter what hardships lie ahead in the next 250 years, you can be sure that farming in Southwest Michigan is a profession that will never be truly chopped down. In Coloma, I'm meteorologist Dave Caulfield.
A lot can change in 250 years, but many aspects of the vision for the country by the founding generation remain in 2026. So how do the values outlined by America's founders translate all these years later? And how have they changed? Well, to answer that question, I spoke with two professors from Purdue, Dr. Catherine Kramer Brownell and Dr. Sebastian Graham. Liberalism, the Enlightenment, John Locke, Montesquieu, Rousseau, just a handful of the variety of philosophies, movements, and thinkers that helped shape America.
They were really capitalizing on this idea that government should not be based on things like the divine right of kings, but that it should be a consent-based government, and that each person, or man as they would have said, was born with certain inalienable rights.
But the founders, while pulling from others, also left their own mark.
I think the founders were, political thinkers in their own right and very much innovating in their creation of America, and then especially a little bit later with the framing of the United States Constitution.
You've likely heard the ideas associated with the founding of America, like liberty, freedom, and equality. But according to Professor Brownell, the vision for the country was a narrow one.
It's very much a vision that is constructed by and for elite white men who own property. And over the course of the next 250 years, there is this effort to make that much more expansive. For those people, women, enslaved people, who were not included in that.
Brownell says at the time there were powerful ideas about equality and freedom. But reality is, at the time, slavery was legal, and there was clear discrimination at play. In the 250 years after 1776, she says there's an effort to expand citizenship to include those who were initially left out.
And so that juxtaposition between people pushing to be included, to expand the parameters of who constitute the people, who deserve citizenship, is very much the story of American history since the founding era.
These are some of the debates they're having, right? What does it mean to be free? What does it mean to be equal? And what is the best form of government for serving freedom, equality, and ultimately the pursuit of happiness?
But the expansion of these promises in an effort to include all Americans didn't just happen. She says it was the work of those pushing for change that expanded the promises of America.
So the democratic experiment, if you will, has become more inclusive and more democratic over the course of the past 250 years.
Brownell says democracy has become more inclusive, bringing more people into the process, but wants to see that expansion continue into the future.
But what that also demands is a more robust information structure as well, that people need to communicate to one another and to find out more information about what is happening in Washington, D.C., to have a relationship with their elected officials.
Brownell says information infrastructure is a major change within the last 250 years, and the quick flow of information has created better communication between elected leaders and constituents, which can help with transparency and accountability. But Brownell warns that those in power sometimes seek to manipulate information, creating confusion between transparency and publicity.
South Bend's place will continue to be a place of growth, a place of convening, and a place of opportunity.
Opportunity, a focal point of our one-on-one discussion with South Bend Mayor James Mueller about his city's future. But it's also opportunity that Mayor Mueller doesn't want to miss when it comes to future investments involving South Bend.
This isn't like a restaurant where there's a menu of options. It's this. We could have this, this, or this. This is the opportunity before us, and the question is whether we seize it or whether we pass on it. I believe we've got to continue to have our resolve to say yes, and say yes to jobs and say yes to investment.
I think I know what we're referencing here. Would this be the data center opportunity that was passed on earlier this year?
That's one of them. It's not the only one. I mean, there are different types of opportunities that folks say, well, we've had this success. Do we need to do this? Do we need to do that? And the answer is we still have a ways to go. We're not where we need to be. Every block has not been rebuilt. Every block has not been restored.
Mayor Mueller says the next steps include furthering the connection with local universities like Notre Dame, or making progress on long-abandoned properties like the Drury Brewery site, an eyesore on the city's northwest side for more than 50 years.
I don't want to say people had given up hope, but in many ways, people may have started to give up, like, is there ever going to be something else? Will this ever happen? And then when it happens, just the excitement and joy that our residents have.
Another step in securing South Bend's future is reaffirming the city's relationship with the county.
There's been a nationalization of politics in the county government, and as you know, our national politics are very divisive and very partisan. And so we do hope that we can get past. We don't need the dysfunction of Washington to come here to St. Joseph County and South Bend.
Over the course of our special report, you've heard from an incredible variety of people that have helped keep Michiana strong. The same men and women who have made the past 250 years so special. We asked each and every one of them what they hope to see out of America for the next 250 years.
I don't know that I have a crystal ball, too far into the future, but I do believe South Bend can and will be, back on the world map, squarely on the world map.
More love, really more love, more sense of community, more caring, more loving your neighbor as yourself, less division when it comes to allowing politics to divide us?
I would hope, I've always wanted to see this, that the area would go back through a renaissance of manufacturing. This time, trying to do future manufacturing for whatever's coming. We're not tearing down factory buildings anymore. We're actually building new ones, that sort of thing.
Everybody has the same opportunities. Everybody starts at the same level. That's all. It's very simple. Fairness, truthfulness.
Be able to compromise and harmonize much more together, and really take advantage of the talents and abilities of every human being, and make the world, the beautiful place it could be for everybody living here.
Yeah, treat other people like you like to be treated the same way. Yeah, and I think if they keep that, we have beautiful 250 years.
Peace on earth, peace in households, and peace in our cities, yeah.
Sounds pretty good, doesn't it?
Thank you for joining us for Indivisible 250, shining light on 250 years of history right here at home. And a big thank you to everyone who shared their stories with us.
Happy birthday, America. And remember, you can watch this entire special anytime on our website at abc57.com.